All right, so the first thing we're going to do is, I have my ring here. We're going to be using, of course, our ring, our pearls, and our 15-0s. So I have a comfortable length of thread. I think I have around like 5 feet, maybe a little bit bigger, on my size 12 needle. And I'm just gonna let this go all the way almost to the bottom. Well, I'm gonna pull my thread. I'm not letting it drop. And then I'm just going to go through my ring. And then, okay, so it's through my ring like this. And here's my bead. I'm going to take my needle through my bead. And then I'm just going to leave on this end a little tail. It's about just enough length for me to tie a knot. All right, so I just brought my needle through my pearl and I met up with my tail and I just tied a knot. Just tied it twice and that was it. So now we're going to continue and we're going to pick up on our needle, whoops, a 15-0 and another pearl. Another pearl, or a 3mm bead. And I'm going to let those fall. I think my string is too long. Okay, so I'm just going to move my tail. All right. So now, this is what I have, a 15-0 and another pearl, and I'm going to go through my ring, and then I'm going to go up through my pearl only. So if it's not as tight, that's fine. When we pull it, just pull it to where everything is snug. So I'm going through my pearl, and then I'm just pulling, and I'm holding my beads, and I'm pulling my string. This is way easier, but the way I'm kind of sitting here at my table and trying to stay on frame, it's a little bit more difficult. But when you hold it in your hands, it's way easier. Okay, so I have my pearl there. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. Picking up another 15-0 and another pearl. I am going to let those drop next to this pearl that I have there. And then I'm going to go through my ring again. And then up through my pearl only. And then just, you can push them to get them close together. So in through my pearl, only my pearl, holding all my beads, and I'm pulling my thread. And then I'm just going to kind of hold all my beads and pull nice to where everything is snug. Okay, so that's what I got. And then keep doing that, and I will meet you when we're close to the end. Okay, I'll meet you back. Okay, so this is my 18th pearl, and I have my 15-0 and my pearl, and I'm going to go through my ring like we've been doing, and let's just keep this hadn't happened, and now it's happening. All right, so going through the pearl only, and then just pull, hold everything and just pull. All right, now that looks like a big enough space for another one, but it isn't. If you put another bead, if you force another bead in there, your project's gonna warp. Okay, so 18 beads. Now we're going to just add our last 15-0 and connect these two. I'm gonna go through the pearl, through this very first one, and then it doesn't matter if you go through the front or through the back, but I'm just going to go through the back and then up this pearl. Again, my first one. Okay? And then that's going to keep everything there in place. And if you feel like you need to scooch some of these beads, you can. So you can kind of play with it. You can kind of scoot some over. So this is what you should have. And like I said, 18 beads, 18 pearls will do the trick. And just move them around, and then this is what you should have. Okay, so now we're going to add our little drops. I had to go back and look at my other piece because it has been a while since I've made this. So that's the bad part about waiting too long to do a tutorial, because then you don't quite remember exactly how you did it. So, all right. So now what I need to do is, and I'm going to get, okay, because I'm also going to use more 15-0s for this part too. And on my next step, I'm going to use my other color 15-0s. So that's what I was trying to figure out. Okay. So you should be coming out of a pearl. And what you're going to do now is grab one of your little teardrops. And these teardrops are the 3x5. So they're the smaller ones. So I have one on my bead, and it's white. So it's probably, well, it's clear crystal AB, so it's hard to see with my white background. So you're gonna get a teardrop, and then another 15-0. Let it go down. Oh, and you want to go in through the narrower side of your teardrop. So that's what you have. Then you're going to skip the 15-0 and then go back down the teardrop. And you can do it like this. You don't have to, you know. And then just pull and then go back down that same pearl that you're coming out of. All right? And then just hold all your beads. And then pull. And then just kind of fix it. All right, so that's what you should have. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my other color of 15-0s, and I'm using, now these are Toho, and these are a little bit bigger than the Miyuki, but I'm using these in this area where it's not going to affect anything. The size isn't going to affect it. So I'm just going to pick up a Toho. Oh, and this is the color Polaris, Perma Finish. Okay, and I'm coming out of this pearl. I put on my 15-0, and then I'm going to just hop onto my next pearl. So this part is pretty easy. And that little Toho bead is going to sit right there. Right there. Coming out of this pearl now, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick up a little teardrop and a 15-0, like that, going in through the narrower side. And then I'm going to come back down. I'm going to skip my 15-0, go through the teardrop and out my pearl. Okay, through my teardrop, out my pearl, and then I'm going to hold everything while I pull. And then to get to my next pearl, I'm going to pick up another 15-0 and go up my next pearl. So keep doing this. This is a pretty easy step. So keep doing this all the way around, and I will meet you back to show you our next step. I made my way, I did 3 of them, and I made my way down, and I'm coming out of this little purple bead here. This little purple bead underneath the pearls. And then I'm just going to go up this pearl, the one that's closest to the purple bead that I'm coming out of. Coming out of that pearl, now I'm going to go through this little 15-0 next to it. And do not catch your thread on any of the other beads. So I'm coming out on this side of that little 15-0 there. And I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s, a pearl, and then an 11-0. Whoops. An 11-0. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, so I'm coming out of this little 15-0, and I just put on, and I'm coming out on this side, and I just put on 3 15-0s, a pearl, and an 11-0. I'm going to skip the 11-0, and then I'm going to go down the pearl, and then after I go down the pearl, I'm going to go down those little 15-0s that are after it, the 3 of them. And then since I'm coming out on this side, of this 15-0, I'm coming out on this side. When I come down these 3 15-0s, I'm going to go back in through this side. So you will have a string coming out on both sides of these little 15-0s. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go down these 3, and then down that little 15-0 where all of them are coming out of. And down this way. Whoop. And then I'm just going to make my way by going through my thread paths. I'm going to go down this, I'm actually going to go down this go down this pearl here, and then once I'm out of that pearl, I'm going to go through the little 15-0 underneath it, and I'm going to make my way to the 15-0 back up here. Okay, so this is an easy step. It's just that on camera it's different because I really can't see my beads that well. I'm nearsighted, so I'm used to holding my piece very close to me. So, but this is an easy step. So go ahead and finish up here, and I will show you what to do next. Okay, when you finish that step, and I already did some of the last step, and you're coming out of this little 15-0 here, all I did was make my way up through one of these teardrops. So coming out of the little 15-0 at the end of those teardrops, and I'm adding 2 little 15-0s, and I'm adding my little purple ones. I'm adding 2 little 15-0s, and I'm connecting seed bead to seed bead. So that's all you got to do. And then 2 more 15-0s. And then if your seed bead is looking a little weird, just fix it and it'll stay. So 2 15-0s connecting your 11-0s to the 15-0s that are there from your previous steps. And that's all you're going to do all the way around. So keep doing this, keep connecting all of them, and then I'll show you how to do a quick and easy bail. All right, so I connected all of my seed beads here around it, and this is what you should have. Now, what I'm doing now, and I did switch the color. I went from the purple to the silver because the purple were Toho and they didn't fit, so I switched back to my Miyuki Seed Beads. So I'm coming out of an 11-0 here at the tip, and I'm just going to do a quick ladder stitch bail. You can skip this part if you want, and you can just attach a jump ring, probably like around here, or you don't have to do this kind of a bail. You can do whatever you want, but I'm doing it like this. I'm coming out of an 11-0, and I'm going to add 2 11-0s. And I'm going to go back around into that same 11-0. Then back through these 2. I'm not going to reinforce it right now because I'll do that at the very end after I've done my line of ladder stitch components, and then I'll reinforce all of it. Well, I'll reinforce the 2 in the beginning and the 2 at the end. So you don't have to do it very long. I think I just did 1, 2, 3, 7 groupings of 2. So here goes another one, and back through these 2, and down these 2 again. Now I am going to reinforce the middle components, so I'm going to do this one again. Okay, so that's 2, and I want to end up with 7. So go ahead and do that until you have 7. Okay, so I have my 7, and I'm just going to connect these. Don't twist this little grouping here of 7, and I'm going to connect them also to this little 11-0 where I started my bail. So I'm going to go through that one 11-0 only, and since I'm using dragon thread, it's perfect for this because it's very thin. And I'm going to go into these 2 at the very end, and then back into that one 11-0. And then I'm also going to reinforce the first 2 groupings of 2 so that that grouping also has 2 strings going through it. So here I go back up through these and down into my 11-0. And you can see my little my little tails there from earlier. I had to add more thread, so I will burn those down all the way so you won't be able to see them. So this is what I have, and there's our bail. You can continue to reinforce it if you want, or you can leave it as is. This is also a very light pendant. It's very light to where you can even make another little component here. Instead of putting a bail, you can make another little component and attach it to it and use it as an earring because it's very light. So this is what you should have. This is our little pendant. Thank you very much for watching. One thing I forgot to mention, sorry about that. When you finish your bail and you come out of your 11-0 here, that's part of this little picot, just go down through these 15 O's through the 11 and do half hitch knots. And do half hitch knots before the 11-0 so you can take your knot in there. And that's all you have to do to finish this. Here is the other one that I did. This is in pink. And so yeah, this is what you should have, or something similar. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoy making this.